capacity. Initial verse, in our nature or true suchness, we can awaken the truths of the universe. So this is obviously referring to intrinsic nature, but we need to be awakened. That's where the lion's straw comes about. The three principles and the four states, we'll come to that later, show the infinitesimal changes of impermanence. And that's because, well, it is, just try to understand this. They look at it as very gradual changes. The problem is, because it's gradual, we do not notice. And before we know it, we're already in it. And that's what it means. Intending to teach the great Dharma, the Buddha considered people's limited capabilities. Obviously, we are familiar with that. The Master have been talking a lot about it. And then he, therefore, because of this, used skillful means. Because, you see, one is in this state of condition. Actually, we don't even need to go back to the Buddha's time. And now that you know the Dharma, and you look at people around us today, and try to awaken them, you'll find it extremely difficult. And we don't even need to look far. And some of you all have spoken about your home brothers. So this is a state that we're in, and when the Dharma degenerating age. And the way the world works as it is right now, it doesn't help. So with provision and two teachings to explain. So in the Master's explanation, the Buddha attained great awakening by becoming one with the universe. So it's not just about awakening to the world, but it's with the universe as a whole. So that means the wisdom is infinite. It's infinite. The supreme wisdom and three principles: principle of existence, or the physical part of it, physiology, which is our body, and then the mind. So the world on the physical side, or the existence side, the world goes through formation, existence, decay, and appearance. So now that we are in the period of decay. So the decay is not just about the Dharma degenerating age, but decay of the physical world, and obviously largely because due to the collective karma that we have collected and is manifesting today. And if you must, in some time ago, also mentioned about the rise and the fall of the kalpas, and so you can see the calamities coming through, and these are all signs of decay. On the physiological side, which is our body, both aging, illness, and death. So we must understand what these two impermanence is very much the same way that we live day after day. One day has passed, and that day that has passed is gone and won't come back. So, and then because of this emphasis in small changes, we do not notice that. And before we know it and say, wow, is it changes so fast? But when we're in that moment, obviously we are unaware. So because of all these things, that's the reason why in the whole practice, it's really about bringing your consciousness up. So unless a consciousness has been brought up and has arisen to a spiritual level, all these changes will come by us without even us noticing. And which means that practicing in the moment is very important, because in a minute moment, it means a lot, just as a life is just a moment in a kalpa. So all these changes, and we are facing a lot of challenges in our life and our body, and Master brought up cases of different type of illness, rare disorders that will come about, and life is impermanent. Just like what I'm sure some of you have read about the landslide in Banjaran in Ipoh, and how the couple has just been buried, in mere moments. So what we experience even more intimately is such psychological principle, which is our mind, arising, abiding, changing, and ceasing. And these are all our thoughts, of how our thoughts arises. But we listen to the Dharma, but does our mind, does it abide in our minds? So, and so if you look at it, how a thought arises, and then if we practice the four right efforts, right? So the four right effort says that whatever is unwholesome, even before it arises, okay, before it arises, you prevent it from happening. So even if it doesn't even go through the four states, and that is what that level of samadhi or stillness would come in, and that can only come about from the virtuous heart, because with a virtuous heart, an unwholesome thought should not arise, and it's what life should be, and it's what we should be, right? So that is the one of the four right efforts. If there's a reason, right? If there's a reason, then we abandon it. So rather than going through all these four states, and whatever is wholesome, that because your heart is already virtuous, it becomes intrinsic in you, it becomes natural in you that it will arise. So then you arouse whatever is wholesome. And when it's a reason, you maintain it. So you maintain it as long as possible, and hopefully it does not cease for the rest of your life. But at the end of the day, at the end of our life, our mind will die, our mind will go. And it's how we look at it from these changing states, and how we apply those efforts to our mind, and how we live with that fourfold mindfulness, the four right efforts, and the four basis of filling powers, those five spiritual roots, as well as five spiritual powers, and the seven factors of enlightenment. So all this, the practice, whilst the words are here are very simple, and there's a lot that we can do to apply it in our daily life, in our practice. So to have this mind in cultivation, and Master went on to say that we have together, even for amongst for 20 of over people us here, then imagine expand that to the community, the country as a whole. We all have karmas in all of us, but in the process of which we get together and we get this collective karma, and that's why there's so much pollution and damage going on. So therefore, we need to change our mind. A negative thought arises can lead to commit countless evils, which is the reason why I mentioned earlier that we need to prevent the arising of the wholesome thought. So therefore, we do that by having cultivating the virtues so that we have a virtuous heart. So we engage in a spiritual practice and listen to Dharma to inspire positive thoughts, right, to arise in our minds, and then the minds of others are very influenced. So that therefore we live the exemplary life so that we inspire others to follow. So all these things, whether good or evil, just arise from a single thought. And in the past, we walk in the bodhisattva path. We must also benefit others, do good deeds, realize the truth of all the things in the world. So we must be awakened. My Master went on to mention, obviously, the three vehicles, which you're already familiar with. But what is important to note today is that all these three vehicles, that the provisional teachings, but nonetheless, all these teachings are true. So they are the truth. Now, truth, because the Buddha has attained supreme light, enlightenment, he has the universal truth. But because of our limited capacity in us, we can only understand a facet of the truth. It's just like a diamond. If the Dharma is a gemstone and is infinitely multiple faceted, we only know one facet of the truth. So, but it's enough that if you have one facet of the truth, what truth will unfold the next truth, and the next truth will unfold the further truth. And that's why we have to grow. our understanding. And what these limited capabilities of ours that we can understand and grow in realization as we dive further down to the depth of the truth to realize. So at the end of the day, the final destination is the Tathagata supreme and perfect enlightenment that is a universal truth, unsurpassed extraordinary wisdom. Then he gave the lion's roar, turned the wondrous Dharma wheel, and attained great freedom. And this is inconceivable power of fearlessness. So Master also mentioned there's a difference between one does not fear and one is fearless. One does not fear because one can be ignorant and does not know like hidden danger ahead, but one is fearless, knowing what is ahead, and because he knows that what is ahead is the conditioned world, and one is practicing an unconditioned practice is fearless because what is ahead is emptiness and illusory. So the lessons learned here today that the Buddha had to roar like a lion and turn the Dharma wheel, and the lion's roar can cause a mountain to shake. So he said that he roared like a lion to shake the people's minds awake. He used the Buddha Dharma to rattle their minds. And so the Master went on to say, many of us say we listen to Dharma, we're very moved and so on and so forth. But we cannot just be moved, it must be rattled. So we need to have these earth-shaking moments, like what Sister and Carping and I were discussing about it yesterday over breakfast. So something so powerful must really shake our mind so we can awaken our nature out of true suchness. If the Dharma can shake us awake and help us achieve profound enlightenment, only then we suddenly become one with the universe. And that is the Tathagata nature that we try to attain. So in contemplation, and an awakened one knows one was in a dream. You see, when we say here in this context, an awakened one is not a fully awakened one, it's a half awakened one or a partially awakened one, knows that one is in a dream. But like I said once before, it's very difficult to wake up somebody who pretend to be asleep. So easier to wake someone who is asleep. A knowing one knows why the day has to be lived, because a knowing one has learned the Dharma. I can be, perhaps maybe can learn to understand it. So therefore, an understanding one knows what the day has been installed for. So, but all this, the knowing and understanding is still very much based on the intellect of the mind. But a practitioner knows how the day should be lived. So this is how one would apply the practice in the Dharma. That's why Masters say, now that you know the Dharma, but are you applying, how are you applying? Are we abiding it in accord with the Dharma in our daily life? So on the relationship, today a very, very short few words. Know who you are. And because Master said that if we are awakened, then be what you should. Okay, Gan En and sisters, thank you so much. That's all.
Gan En so much, Brother Chin. Brilliant sharing, summary, and always need you to continue to give us all this good summary and good sharing. Yeah, and then so much, Brother Chin. Okay, over to you, Sister Su Ching.